there is this consistent theme that's been playing out. We have two stories that speak to this theme very well, and that is this rush to, instead of working to truly solve issues like public safety, homelessness, substance abuse, mental health, we just find ways to sort of sweep it aside so people don't notice, or to detour or divert around it. And I was reminded of this on this latest episode of Sundays with Subscribers just a few days ago. We had on John Scholes of the Downtown Seattle Association, which looks out for the business interests of downtown. And I was asking him a pretty clear question about, well, what are you going to do about 3rd Avenue? What are you going to do about the drug use and the crime on 3rd Avenue when you have people who are going to be in town for the MLB All-Star game? And here's what John told me. Has there been any assurance made or any request made of the city that, hey, 3rd Avenue has to be cleaned up? There can't be people sitting around using drugs. Has there been like an effort to say we're sweeping all that out before the game?
Well, there's been a walking path that's been developed from the hotels and the retail core where a lot of folks will be staying, including players and their families, down to T-Mobile and Lumen Field, where Play Ball Park, the Fan Fest, will be taking place. And that's really just to make it easy for folks to know how to get from where they're staying to where the festivities are. So that's along 2nd and 4th Avenue. So I expect to see a greater number of ambassadors, both our own team, but also ambassadors that are there to support the All-Star game and week, help people find their way. It's going to be branded so people sort of have a logical place. They don't have to have their map out or their phone out, and they know where to go. So we want to make that a safe and clean and delightful walking path for fans.
So I ask a question about what are they going to do about 3rd Avenue, and the answer is, we're going to have a marked walking path that's going to take people on 2nd Avenue and 4th Avenue. So truly, it's just a detour around the destruction and chaos in the worst part of downtown Seattle. And also, by having this marked walking path for people who are visiting the city for the MLB All-Star game, then you can focus your police resources and your cleanup to make sure there's no trash on that walking path. So if somebody's walking, happily in town for the MLB All-Star game from the hotels in downtown Seattle, they can just follow the nice little yellow brick road all the way, and they can avoid the fentanyl-laced road. And to me, I get it. We want this to be a good event for Seattle. I want that for business owners as well. But don't you think it's a little absurd that not only are we sort of sweeping the issue aside for the time being, but actually creating a physical path around the worst parts of downtown Seattle? That's how bad things have gotten. An actual marked path to say, hey, take this route so you don't take that route. It's really quite unreal. And in a similar vein, our friend Jonathan Cho, who covers homelessness for Discovery Institute, he's been covering the issue related to a homeless encampment in Burien, which is south of Seattle, if you're not familiar. And, there's some woke members of the Burien City Council and other entities who are trying to help this homeless camp basically survive in the city and move it from place to place. But Burien had an annual 4th of July parade, as many cities do, and they had to change the route. Well, they didn't have to. They decided to change the route of the 4th of July parade so it did not go past a homeless encampment that's been causing a bunch of issues in the heart of the city. Here's the story that Jonathan Cho did.
Families, children, and tourists usually line downtown streets to get a glimpse of the floats and marching bands. But this year, the parade route is being changed
for everyone's safety
to avoid seeing this. A homeless encampment that's now close to 20 tents deep.
So it's best just to err on caution.
Set up on Southwest 152nd Street near the entrance of Grocery Outlet and Dollar Tree.
I don't believe it should be in our downtown commercial area.
Deborah George leads Discover Burien, a coalition of business owners responsible for making this last-minute decision. George says they had no other choice but to alter the parade route.
We're going to turn left on 4th. And just head straight into Town Square Park.
Since the city is refusing to remove the encampment, that's because Burien does not have an illegal camping ordinance, except at public parks.
I mean, it's ugly and it's not safe. We get a lot of crazy people.
It's led to several unintended consequences. Just in the past few weeks, this inferno engulfed multiple tents. Nearby business owners say they're struggling with a spike in thefts related to this encampment.
How do you run a business like this? Oh, it's hard. I got customers that don't want to come in. They don't feel safe coming around here no more, you know?
What you got your little punk-ass phone for, bitch?
People with clear signs of mental illness are roaming this area more often, and the open-air drug use is out of control.
This is a crisis moment.
During my interview with Mayor Sofia Aragon, several men were brazenly smoking fentanyl right behind her.
The open-air drug use, I mean, you see it with your own eyes.
Yes.
Aragon says creating a new ordinance to address this situation will be up for discussion, but there are no assurances it passes since the council is so divided on this issue.
Just wish that we could, there are better ways to work together in the community and not have people pointing fingers.
Simply put, some council members believe they have to live alongside this situation until the city can get everyone housed or find a space for a sanctioned encampment.
I spoke with staff and there is no intention of doing a sweep anytime soon.
But Stephanie Mora says the homeless need to be moved right now, since the ones out here have already rejected help, and others from outside the city keep moving into this encampment.
They were all offered beds, they were all offered services.
This is going to be a Korean all-you-can-eat barbecue.
George says the council's differences in ideology keep getting in the way of common sense solutions.
Unfortunately, we're taking some hits because this has become such a political game around here.
Yeah, that's from our friend Jonathan Cho. You can watch his work at fixhomelessness.org, follow him on Twitter at Cho Show. But look, this is ridiculous. I don't blame the businesses. I don't blame the businesses in downtown Seattle who are like, hey, can you create a walking path for people to follow that goes around the people dying on the sidewalks of overdoses? I don't blame the businesses in Burien for saying, hey, we're having this parade and there's going to be kids there, so let's alter the route so it goes around and away from the homeless encampment where there's open air drug use and there's people in the throes of a mental health crisis. I don't blame the businesses. But at some point we have to wake up and realize that diversions, detours, they are a distraction from the problem. And what we should all be shooting for, what we should all be pushing for is a Seattle, is a Burien, is a King County, is a Washington State where you don't have to create detours, where you can have the dang 4th of July parade wherever you want it and not be worried about the safety of children, where people can come to what used to be a beautiful, gorgeous city to go to the MLB All-Star game with their kids and not have to follow a little path that's been set there by the city so that they can be safe. At some point, there has to be a give where we realize that's not normal, that's not healthy, that's not what happens in a world-class city or a world-class state, and we've got to do something about it. And the only way to do something about it is at the ballot. The only way to do something about it is at the ballot.